I don't normally get blisters when I'm hiking. Even when I'm doing 30 miles in a single day, day after day, just repeating that over and over, I don't typically get blisters. I feel like when I do get blisters, that I had done something, I don't really want to say wrong, but rather there's something that I could have improved throughout the day to avoid getting that blister entirely. Now, why is a blister bad? This may seem like a stupid question to most because obviously blisters are painful. They're painful. They suck. They make walking more difficult, more arduous, not enjoyable. But the other answer that I've found over the years and the other answer that I've seen is that blisters can actually cause much worse injuries. Because let's say I have a blister on maybe the ball of my foot. So now when I'm walking, now maybe I'm trying to step in a way where I am no longer stepping on that blister. It can really lead to much, much more serious problems just from a stupid little blister. So let's look at a couple reasons and a couple things that we can do to, help keep blisters away. Now, the first step is going to be find a good shoe. I recently did a video on how to find the best shoe for you. My best advice when going into shoe shopping and testing out shoes and what you're really looking for. So I think that video is a great complement to this one. Now, why is finding a good shoe important? It is because a good shoe is going to fit your foot properly, which again may seem obvious, but the issue is when it doesn't fit. And now maybe the front is too tight, which is squeezing your toes together and causing friction, which causes blisters. Or maybe alternatively, the shoe is too loose and your foot is just sliding back and forth around inside of the shoe. So you gotta find a good shoe, a shoe that fits for you. I highly recommend the video I had made, I wanna say 3 weeks ago, about finding shoes. Now, if you do have a shoe that you really love, but you still find that maybe it's causing a little blister here or there, or maybe it's just rubbing a little bit weird in a certain spot, or maybe your toes are too tight, adjust the shoe. See what you can do to make changes. Personally, you'll find on a lot of shoes that I personally wear that I do different lacing techniques. Whereas on this shoe right here, you can see that I've skipped the bottom-most lace area. If I had not skipped that lacing area, my toes would be a little tighter, whereas when I skip it, I've given my toes a little bit more room to breathe, because I know if I don't do that, I'm more prone to get blisters on in between my toes. Now maybe you have high arches, and that's causing blisters in a different way. A similar thing you could do would be skip a lace somewhere in the middle of a shoe to kind of give your arch a little bit more space to breathe. On the blue pair here, I've skipped the bottom lace, whereas on this pair, I haven't skipped the bottom lace, because this shoe has a little bit more room for my toes, and I feel like I don't really need to adjust the laces in any different way. So you don't always have to adjust and make these changes, but it's something to think about. Now, I would say that socks are almost as important as the shoe itself, and for very similar reasons. You don't want a sock that is going to be too tight. You don't want a sock that is too loose, where your foot is just going to be rubbing around all over inside. The sock is going to be bunching up. So you want to find a sock that is the right size for you. Personally, I really love these Darn Tough hiking socks. They are a little bit on the thicker side, so if you enjoy a thinner sock, then these may not be for you. Probably my second favorite would be these Grip 6 socks. Also have a very, very similar warranty to Darn Tough, where you can get them replaced for pretty much any reason. So some Grip 6 socks, very similar to Darn Tough, but a little bit thinner. And I don't have a pair on me, but Injinji socks. I'm sure you've heard of them. They are toe socks, where each one of your toes has a little pocket that they can kind of fit into. If you know you're prone to getting blisters in between your toes, then it kind of adds a layer of fabric there that separates your toes and will help prevent blisters. My one issue with Injinjis, although they are fantastic for things like blister prevention, is they are a little bit more expensive and they just don't seem to last as long. So you gotta find the right stock for your foot, but something else that is less about the gear you use and more about how you hike is your pacing. By going too quickly, you're going to cause yourself blisters. Something I always try and keep in my mind is keeping it light, easy, and smooth. And I say that as I'm hiking up mountains, down mountains, light, easy, and smooth. That is how my hiking should feel. It should not feel hard, difficult, painful, fast, or anything like that. Because if you're hiking at a light, easy, and smooth pace that you can just maintain, the miles are just going to come. So try not to walk faster than what is comfortable otherwise. Now, if you know that you are just naturally prone to getting a blister in a certain location, so before your trip, before you even leave, I recommend taking some Leukotape. Leukotape is the best medical tape out there when it comes to blisters, and that is because it is so sticky that once you put it on, it's not going to bunch up, it's not going to move, it's going to stay put, and it's going to help protect your feet, adding that extra layer of skin per se. So if I know that I am normally going to get a blister on the back of my heel, I will take some of this tape and I will, before my trip even begins, I will put that around the back of my heel. That way, when I do start getting that rubbing from my shoe or whatever it is that's actually causing the blister, I will already have this tape on. Now, my next piece of advice here is, again, more of a skill type of thing, or something that you should do throughout the day instead of just a piece of gear that you can buy. It is to keep your feet clean. To keep your feet clean, because ultimately what's going to happen is when you're hiking, you're going to get little bits of dirt in your shoe, so you should always take your shoe and make sure to dump the dirt out as often as you feel it get in there. You're going to get that dirt on your feet, and that grime and that muck mixing with your sweat is going to cause extra friction and extra abrasion, and it's going to cause you blisters. So something I like to do at least once per day is I will wash my feet. Now, the other thing, keep your socks clean. I do this maybe once every other day or once every 3 days or whatever it may be, but I personally generally carry 2 pairs of socks, one that I'm wearing on my feet and then one that is in my backpack or hanging from my backpack. So 2 pairs of socks. Well, I do that because I like to rotate them every other day. Fresher socks, again, are going to be cleaner, they're going to feel better on my feet. I'm going to be able to stop and air out my feet, but also with 2 pairs of socks, I can take one every other day and wash it with some water, squeeze out all the dirt and grime from the sock, and hang it from my pack to dry while I'm hiking along down the trail, while I'm wearing the dry socks. So clean socks, similar to the clean feet, are really going to help to prevent blisters. How can you keep stuff from getting inside of your shoes? Something I definitely have to say in regards to foot care and blisters and prevention of all those things is gaiters. I don't personally own a pair, but what a gaiter is a piece of fabric in a cone shape that will attach to the back of your shoe and the front of your shoe, and it comes up around your leg and your ankle, and it wraps down along the sides of your shoe. So what it essentially does is it's keeping rocks and dirt and sand and stuff from getting in your shoe while you're hiking, because obviously this giant hole lets in a lot of dirt and stuff. So pretty much any time I am hiking and I'm going to take a break that is longer than 5 minutes, I will take the time to take off my shoes and my socks and let my feet air out. This is going to help with just daily recovery and how your feet are feeling, but also if you can take the time to let your feet air out and you can elevate them, maybe on a log or on a rock or on your backpack or something, then your feet aren't going to swell as bad. So you've done all that stuff and unfortunately you feel a hot spot coming on. Well, you tape it. You take this Leukotape and you tape it. You gotta be proactive with this, because with every step forward that you still have that hot spot that isn't taken care of, it's just turning into a blister. Now, a little trick with this Leukotape, I personally don't carry this entire roll, as maybe you were wondering. I like to cut off pieces and add it to these packing slips. So this is essentially like a little bit of wax paper for stickers. You know, if you are getting a package from maybe Amazon or a different company, oftentimes they'll send you your order on a little sticker on a wax piece of paper like this. I try and save these whenever I can, and I will cut off strips of Leukotape and put them on these wax papers. Usually when I am starting a hike, I'll start out with a bunch of these little things, and I'll carry them for as long as I feel like I need to, as long as I feel like I'm no longer feeling hot spots or blisters coming on. Okay, so the worst has happened. You have gotten a blister. You've gotten a blister. But let's say it's just a small blister. It's a fledgling blister in its young ages. The Leukotape is going to come really in handy in here, but also something else that unfortunately I don't have on hand, but you can get it at any grocery store ever, and I recommend bringing it on your hikes yourself. Little foam donuts. They are these little circles that are just made of foam, and they are a little bit sticky, but you can't just use them alone. And if I have a blister that's just very small, I will take that foam donut and put it around the blister, and then I will take my Leukotape and put it over top of that donut to hold it in place. If the blister is very small, I personally recommend not popping it unless it is causing you a lot of pain. So let's say the blister is causing you pain, it is affecting your hike, or maybe it is a larger blister that cannot be ignored or cannot just be taken care of super simply. What you're going to need to do is pop it. So if the blister is large, I pop it with a needle, I make sure that hole is a little bit large, and I have a thread running through it to keep it drained. Of course, I will do the same thing as before with my little foam donut. I will put that over top of the blister, and then I will put my Leukotape over top of the little donut, again to protect the blister. So now you've done what you can to physically take care of the blister. What can you do during your hike further? And I will say, change plans. So you want to do whatever you can to slow down and to do less miles until that blister is healed up. And if you can, to then spend a little bit extra time in that next town to, again, let that blister heal. If you thought this was helpful, if you learned something, or if you have extra advice that maybe I had forgotten, please leave it down in the comments below. If you liked this video, give me a little thumbs up, and if you aren't already, please subscribe to this channel. I hike a lot, I do a lot of long distance trails, and actually right now I'm preparing for the 2,650 mile Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico to Canada. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next video.